Breaking news today: Putin to meet with Iraqi Prime Minister to discuss Middle East situation. Kremlin. The Kremlin announced late on Monday that Russian President Vladimir Putin and Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani would meet on Tuesday to discuss bilateral issues and the evolving situation in the Middle East. The Kremlin said in a statement on the Telegram messaging app that issues of developing multifaceted Russian-Iraqi cooperation and current topics on the international agenda, primarily the situation in the Middle East, would be discussed at length. Hundreds on both sides have been killed in the conflict between Israel and Palestinian militants in Gaza, which will serve as a backdrop for the meeting. In a statement released last week, Putin expressed optimism regarding his upcoming first meeting with Sudani, calling it productive and timely. The Kremlin added that Sudani, who is in Moscow for 2 days, will see Putin again on Wednesday at an energy forum. The oil industry accounts for the vast majority of the estimated $10+ billion in Russian investments in Iraq. Rosneft, the largest oil company in Russia, has been investing billions of dollars in oil production and shipping infrastructure in the Kurdistan Regional Government of Iraq since at least 2017. Lukoil, a Russian oil company, is currently pumping out around 480,000 barrels per day at the southern Iraqi West Kurna-2 oil field, and Gazprom Neft, the oil division of Russia's gas juggernaut Gazprom, is working on the Badra oil field project and 2 fields in Iraqi Kurdistan. Lydia Kelly in Melbourne filed this report. Michael Perry supervised the editing. One expert told Newsweek that as the death toll from the weekend's violence rises in Israel and Gaza, Russian President Vladimir Putin may be able to stare down renewed Western support for Ukraine. U.S. foreign policy expert Alexander Kryev from the Ukrainian think tank Prism told Newsweek that the recent escalation in the Middle East would only encourage Western countries to take a more radical approach in supporting their allies. It's not just a matter of fewer guns, more peace. Kryev argued that the goal was to arm people with the means to keep the peace. So Israel may play into Ukrainian hands. As Israel began launching waves of airstrikes on Gaza early Saturday in response to coordinated land, sea, and air attacks by Palestinian militants fighting for Hamas, the United States quickly threw its weight behind Israel. As a result of the horrific and ongoing attacks, Vice President Joe Biden stated that the United States would offer all appropriate means of support to Israel, and that the United States unequivocally condemned this appalling assault against Israel by Hamas terrorists from Gaza. The United Kingdom, according to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, stands unequivocally behind Israel. London is poised to back Israel militarily if it asks for it. Midway through September, the United States unveiled a new military aid package for Ukraine. Vice President Joe Biden said at the time that the aid was intended to ensure Ukraine's long-term security and that the country would be capable of deterring future threats against sovereignty, territorial integrity, and freedom. Because that's what this is all about, the future of freedom, said Biden. America can never, will never walk away from that. The Ukrainian capital of Kyiv relies heavily on Western aid, especially from the United States, to fund its long and arduous war against Russian forces in the country's east and south. Although some in Kyiv may have been worried after the United States avoided a government shutdown in late September by cutting off aid to Ukraine, this was likely only a temporary setback. According to a report published by the Institute for the Study of War on Saturday, Moscow may have already been using the Hamas attacks as a weapon to deflect Western attention away from Ukraine and dampen Western enthusiasm for sending military aid to Kyiv.